It's time to meet the candidates.
In our ongoing series of Meet the Candidates, I thought we'd bring in someone who is no stranger to politics, Hedy Fry. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Now, little birdie tells me this is your 8th time running, or 7th time running for re-election, but 8th time running overall.
Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm.
And how is that for you, as someone that's been out on the campaign trail pretty much every single election campaign since 1993? Does that sort of wear on you a little bit?
No, it doesn't, actually. I enjoy campaigning very much. I get to hear what people really think, not what they want to tell me. So they start coming out and telling you what they really think, and so you get debates going on the street one-on-one, and it's really, I like it. I like that part of it, actually.
Are you confident that Trudeau can be the next Prime Minister of this country?
I don't think in any election anyone can be confident about anything, and if they tell you they can, they're not really telling the truth. But I do think that looking at what's going on right now, I think there's a very, very excellent chance that he could be the next Prime Minister of Canada.
The polls are changing on a daily basis.
It is, and he has a straight up trend.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been consistent like that since even the last election, hasn't it?
It has. He did a dip for a while.
Yeah.
And I think now now that he's presenting his platforms, and I think people always thought that everybody else came out with platforms, and he didn't. They thought it was because he didn't have one, but he did. We all had one. He was just waiting for a strategic time in which to bring it out when people were paying attention, and he did.
Tom Mulcair from the NDP was here in Vancouver today, and some have said that maybe this could be a slip, but he said that Toronto is Canada's most important city. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are that Mr. Mulcair is so busy saying whatever people want to hear him say, so he changes his tune every time he's in a different province, every time he's in a different city.
But if he's in Vancouver, wouldn't he say this? Vancouver's the most important.
I think he forgot where he was. The script got kind of laid somewhere, and he couldn't find it, and he forgot where he was, and thought he was in Toronto. I mean, but I think the bottom line here is even if he wasn't, and he still wherever he is continues to say that Toronto is the most important city in Canada. I just think that what does that make us here in BC? What does it make Vancouver?
What does it make us?
Yes, it makes us like some sort of second-rate. Perhaps I may pay attention to you one day if I have time.
Yeah.
But I've got to focus on the most important place.
So to you, as someone from Vancouver who's running in Vancouver, what is Vancouver to you?
To me, Vancouver is a gateway to Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
Vancouver is the most beautiful part of Canada. Vancouver is a place where technology and all innovation is happening. It's a happening place, and that he doesn't even know that. Tells me that he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about.
He also made some pretty big promises about GPs and doctors. You're a physician. Yes. That is your background before politics. Let me ask you, and we've been discussing this in the office all day. He said that he is going to put $200 million towards recruitment grants to get more doctors. My question to you is, as a physician, where exactly are we going to find people who want to be GPs? Because general consensus tells us that people always aim higher than a GP. They either want to be a surgeon, and they don't particularly want to stay in...
mind what you say there. I used to be a GP, so
sure. Let me finish my thought here. There's a general consensus out there that people that go into the medical field will generally aim for something a little bit higher than a GP. I know there are some GPs that want to be GPs, absolutely. But the main thing we face in this country is GPs in those regional areas, getting GPs to go into those smaller regional areas, those small country cities, and stay there to give more GPs into those areas so people have doctors to go visit. Do you think that plan could work, or do you guys have another plan that's going to work here?
Well, you know what? That is an important piece of any plan, but I really don't know what Mr. Mulcair's plan is.
Yeah.
He laid out little pieces, like little pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. There is no full puzzle here, because the biggest problem right now is an aging population in Canada. The biggest problem is the fiscal imbalance created by Stephen Harper when in 2014 he unilaterally imposed a transfer payment change that allowed every province to be given a per capita transfer.
Right.
And what we saw is that the smaller provinces weren't able to make do with that per capita when they had a smaller percentage of people living there. They were getting a per capita basis. They began to lose. And in fact, when he made that decision, he didn't discuss it with the provinces. And in 2014, when he brought it down, imposed it, what happened was Alberta got almost $1 billion and Nova Scotia got 17 million. How do you provide equity of access, universality of care across the country when some people aren't getting enough money to make that happen? There's a level of care that must be so across this country. And there are some provinces that are now saying, we can't afford, we have a larger aging population than province B. We can't afford to service this population.
Yeah.
So this is a huge fiscal imbalance that was created by Mr. Harper. It's something that I don't think Mr. Mulcair considers. He did say last year that he would bring back the 6% escalator clause that Paul Martin had put in the Accord. And then he reneged on it a week ago because he's now going to have to balance his budget in 6 months. You can't do both.
So how do the federal Liberals plan on looking at the problem of getting more physicians and doctors into these rural areas? Is it an incentive-based thing that we need to be looking at here? Because when this is discussed in news media, we always say, how come we don't ever see incentives? Because the best way to get someone to do something is give them an incentive. We see that with trades. How come we don't see that with GPs and physicians?
Incentives have been tried now for a long time. Ever since the 80s, there have been difficulty getting physicians to go to different parts of, the more remote areas in this country. And incentives would be to offer them a bonus to go. But I think what the real problems are that a lot of people didn't want to stay there forever. When their kids got older, they wanted to go down and live in the city near the university, near the high school or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think now that we have everything is on the net and people can do a lot of work in distance learning and distance training and distance visiting. It's going to be exciting because innovation in healthcare is what it's all about.
Yeah, we're looking at technology now where you can do doctor visits almost via like a Skype system.
You can, and keep it private as well.
Yeah.
And be able to link in specialists down in the big city to talk to people in a 600-person community wherever and get a diagnosis and get treatment and it's exciting, and innovation is what is going to be changing the whole face of medicine.
Our guest is Hedy Fry, Dr. Hedy Fry. She is running for re-election in the seat of Vancouver Central. In fact, her 8th run in that same seat. She's won all of them since 1993. We are doing a thing called Meet the Candidates. More with Hedy Fry on the other side of this. News Talk 980, CKNW.
Two people claim to speak for the middle class in this election, but only one of us will back up words with action. I'm Justin Trudeau. My plan raises taxes on the wealthiest 1% and cuts them for our middle class. Tom Mulcair will do neither. And Mulcair will keep sending Stephen Harper's child benefit checks to millionaires. I'll cancel them and send more money to families who really need it. That's real change.
Authorized by the registered agent for the Liberal Party of Canada.
Yeah, all through this federal election, we are picking people who will let with us on the radio about why they should be elected or re-elected. Tonight, we're chatting with Hedy Fry, Liberal candidate for Vancouver Central. She is running for her 7th re-election and 8th overall election. She famously stole that seat from then-sitting Prime Minister Kim Campbell back in 1993. So, part 2 of our conversation with Dr. Hedy Fry. Let me ask you about the letters that Health Canada sent to a select few dispensaries in this city last week. We know that, and I would imagine we'll get a full sense of what the Liberals' plan is for cannabis in this country as the election campaign rolls on. But the Health Canada is sending out those cease and desist letters to tell these dispensaries to one, stop advertising marijuana or stop selling it. There's a problem here because the BC Pain Management Society received a letter to tell them to stop advertising and selling marijuana. Fact is, they've never advertised marijuana, yet there's other dispensaries within this city as well that actively advertise marijuana but did not get these letters. Is the letter coming out from Health Canada a bit of a political play during a political campaign?
Well, that's kind of sad because I think it is a political play during a political campaign. But the Minister of Health has been fighting with the cities, especially Vancouver and other cities, for quite a long time.
Do you think the Conservatives' approach to the way they're handling this is a little bit heavy-handed?
Well, there used to be a way it was handled. You have two types of marijuana. Marijuana used for medical purposes, and Health Canada used to license those themselves.
Yes.
And people would apply, they'd have to fulfill the criteria, and therefore, on a doctor's prescription, people could go in and get their prescription filled in what are really licensed dispensaries. When this government came in, because ideologically, they don't like the idea of marijuana. They decided to cancel that licensing program from Health Canada, and also people were allowed under our government to grow some plants so that if they are disabled and they didn't have income, they didn't have to go buy it. They could do this for their own use.
Yes.
That was all acceptable to Health Canada in those days when we were government. Then they've changed it and they said you can't grow your own plants. And so, as you know, the provincial government and the health councils took them to court here in BC, and the court says you can't stop people from growing marijuana if they need it and they don't have the money. That's their way to get it. You can't just take away that. It's got to do with their health and it's got to do with their best interest. So the minister said she's going to take that to the Supreme Court. So while she's doing it, there's that chaos. There's no rule, there's nothing happening. And now when the city said, we have dispensaries starting up everywhere, it's not just about medical marijuana, it's about anything, we're going to have to start licensing this ourselves as a city.
The Liberals federally, if you do win election and you form government, will you be actively looking at what Vancouver's doing? Will you look at what the other provinces are doing when it comes to medicinal cannabis, and then come up with a solid plan for everybody?
Well, I think we will go back. I would suggest that we might want to go back to some clear regulations, some very clear licensing of whether or not this dispensary fulfills the criteria that is set, so that everybody across the country knows what the rules are. That's the first thing. But I think so that we also want to do a fair amount of work on research on the benefits and the harms of medical marijuana and what amounts work best for X types of illnesses.
Right.
So we want to make sure that, working with physicians and clinicians and everyone, we want to get a deep sense of how this would work. What are the dosages? I mean, we know that when I give you a prescription for amoxicillin or penicillin or something, I know what the doses are supposed to be that will work for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all physicians learn that. So we're looking at bringing some order to this chaos with regard to medical marijuana and doing some more research to see where it works best. We know that evidence has been showing us that it works very well with people with neurological diseases, MS, etc., people who are terminally ill. It's a very good pain reliever. And so there are ways in which we can look at how we make this an orderly way of dealing with this drug and of prescribing this drug and knowing what are the side effects, like you do with any other drug.
All right, final question before you go, and we do ask this of all the candidates. Why should people in Vancouver Centre re-elect you?
Because I've been here since 1993, I am always meeting with my community. You don't just see me at election time. I meet, if I don't hear from a particular group of people, an NGO, a group of people dealing with women's issues or something, we call them. We have a round table. We sit down. We say, so what's going on with you? We're not hearing from you. Is everything fine? Does that mean everything is working well? And are there any concerns, challenges? So we continue to do this very regularly with the business community, with the arts community, with women's organizations, with you name it, with the LGBTQ community. I mean, an MP's job is to keep in touch with all the communities, to understand what is wrong, what is right, what's working, what isn't working, and what are the things that as a federal politician I can do to help, to cut through red tape and to make things better. I also meet with regularly. I have staff who regularly help individuals get a visa, bring in their Aunt Mary, bringing their aging parent who needs help with student loans, help with income tax, cut through the red tape that ordinary individuals face every time they try to deal with government. And we do that well, and people come from every other riding to our riding to get it done. But we don't mind. That's the role of an MP. So an MP is somebody who needs to be constantly in touch with the community, constantly working with them, constantly keeping your finger on the pulse of what are the merging issues, what are the emerging issues, what are the urgent issues, what is going on in your community. And I have always done that. In an election, you see everybody suddenly who's a candidate everywhere you turn. There they are. And then you never see them before and you never see them after.
Do you tweet?
I tweet.
Good. Hedy Fry, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
There you go. That is Hedy Fry, candidate for Vancouver Centre. She wants to win re-election for a 7th time, her 8th overall running in that riding.